Hi, this is Alex Gonzalez from In Your Phase. This episode is an Age of Sigmar episode, and we're going to be reviewing the Sons of Behemat Battle. Hi, this is Alex Gonzalez from In Your Phase. This is a Age of Sigmar episode, and we are reviewing the Sons of Behemat Battletome. Everyone's been longly anticipating this Battletome. It's an interesting one, so do be sure to listen in and enjoy. A light, but I sleep like 5 hours a night. So
yeah, it takes me an hour to fall asleep, but then when I sleep like 8 hours solid, sometimes 9.
Damn, that is pretty good. That's pretty consistent. Look at you.
But it takes me fucking forever to fall asleep.
Okay.
Anyways,
well, I think that if it takes you a while to fall asleep, a lot of people like to, drink herbal tea or drink milk, and who knows what the fuck the Sons of Behemat drink to get to sleep. Probably a lot of booze or just like toxic waste. I don't know. Hi, everyone. This is Alex, Jeremy, and Garrett from In Your Phase. John's out tonight, but we're going to be looking at the Sons of Behemat. But before we do so, as normal, we want to see what's in the phases. We're gonna put our scrying stones out here and find out what's good. For me, I will say it's been nothing but organization. I am continuing to completely organize the hobby room. I got myself a Vallejo compatible paint rack made from MDF that I made. I finally got myself one of these. I feel like I need like 3 more, but with all the paints that I have, but it's looking great. It's working well so far, and it's going to be really helpful because I can put all my main paints for my Seraphon and my Necrons right on there without having to like go elsewhere or have 2 different containers. Got more tape, double-sided mounting tape for my these like little Sterilite plastic containers that Jeremy and I use, I think almost identical ones. I think he buys his online and I just go to Target for mine. So like different colors, but I need to find myself some taller ones for some taller models, but all like infantry to medium size infantry and small monsters and shit. They're all for any of my systems. Like they're all in these containers now, all labeled. So this is like my perfect scenario because I was losing my mind in this office for having like weird disjointed organizational stuff. So really excited to get that going and continuing on with that, just putting some metal at the bottom with double-sided mounting tape, cutting some sheet metal up, and then voila, you have yourself a magnetized, stackable, easy to transport, easy to store container for primarily storing, but if you need to go somewhere, you throw it in your trunk and you're good to go. But that's all that's pretty much on my phase. I'm in preparation to get most of my Necrons completely painted for the next event and doing some TTS testing for a special event that I'm going to be doing pretty soon, getting my shit pushed in because of reasons I don't want to talk about right now. And then, got some terrain from Jeremy so that we can have improved terrain for specifically the 40K live stream games. Our AOS terrain is pretty consistent. It's pretty varied and it's all painted already. However, 40K was not so much. So Jeremy's been doing a really great job on the actual painting side for Ruins. He gave me the industrial set and the pipes today. I've begun the initial process of dry brushing the pipes because they were already primed. Wasn't able to get any other priming done for the industrial stuff because there's a fuck ton of mold lines. So I was losing my mind. I have to clean it up, at least kind of.
You're welcome.
And so I have to like at least kind of clean it. And then I can put it back together, and then I can start doing my thing. I think that one is going to be more airbrush than it is otherwise, but we'll see. That's all that's in my phase. There's a lot of unnecessary cleanup work on models and organization. Jeremy, what's in your phase?
My phase right now probably is going to sound very similar since I'm painting some terrain. We're trying to make sure by Sunday, when we do our stream, we'll have a full table of painted terrain instead of our MDF wood. In fact, the MDF wood is on my to go to the garbage junk pile right now. My MDF terrain.
At least
Oh,
donate
really?
it to a game store or
Yeah,
something.
dude, donate it to Guardian or like a OC Geeks and Games and shit.
Oh yeah, I just donate a bunch of stuff that I'm planning on throwing away that none of these people can host events for another like how many months from now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, then they won't have to worry about terrain.
I'll put a
And I'm
few.
sure there's a TO somewhere who's like, "Fuck, I don't have enough terrain."
Sure.
Yeah.
Come get this terrain. No, the table's looking pretty like as soon as me and Alex finish this, so you guys will see it on Sunday, but it will look pretty much better than any of our previous 40K stream, that's for sure. I also got some plastic sheets cut out to make the base out of the area terrain, so that way we can adjust the terrain as we see fit, because there'll be different sizes, and also because that way I don't want to glue them on the plastic sheets, right? So it'll just eliminate the area terrain when we want to. Additionally, I'm still painting some sisters, slowly but surely. I'm almost done with my Bloody Rose petrol detachment, which means I can start my Ebon Chalice right after. I had an inch to scratch today for conversions because I really wanted to buy. Thanks to for my birthday, Alex gave me an Indominus box, and I haven't assembled any of the Necron pieces. And I was like, I really want to see what this Overlord looks like on a Locust Lord, Locust Heavy Destroyer, fat ass, effectively, because that's what they look like. Every time I look at that model, like that giant thick ass booty, I just want to have like some thumping like bass in the background, because that's how I feel like the thing levitates as much as
Have like an over digitized remix of WAP in the background.
Yeah, just
I hate this so much. On this like Necron Discord I'm a part of, that like the thick like weird weeby like destroyer is definitely a thing, and I hate it.
So I converted that real quick today, and I was like, this is exactly what I wanted to so it satisfied that itch. But the important thing is on my phase is that me and Garrett are like made some drastic improvements to the stat dashboard, and we're hoping to take it to a live audience in the coming next week, and I'm putting this out there because please, when we announce the physical date and showtime, please come watch, and we'll answer questions live during the show regarding 40K stats, and as well like any kind of factional stats, because the whole point of this dashboard is to allow people to answer questions for really about anything when it comes to what's doing well and what's doing bad, and have like the power on their fingertips effectively. But yeah, that's my phase. There goes a reverse sneezing dog. What's your phase, Garrett? What are you doing?
So first I am going to do my wonderful comments on everyone else's phases. So Jeremy, I do want to say that one things I'm looking forward to with the live show is that as we've been recording this, one of the problems I've been going into is that Jeremy and I just pick our favorite factions and then end up getting some very not interesting results. Like, oh look, Harlequins are doing as expected. Oh look, sisters are doing as expected. And so I'm curious to have other people kind of like start shouting out like, hey, can you check out this faction? Can you check out this faction? So we can kind of get a more, diverse look at what we get into, rather than Jeremy and I's very close knit biases that we end up having. And then Alex, so I actually, in the very beginning of COVID, I tried to do what you did, and I ordered a bunch of IKEA shelves. But IKEA was going through heavy load to the point that I called IKEA 2 months after my prospective delivery date, and they were like, "Oh yeah, that order's gone. We're just going to give you a refund." Like, yeah,
Jesus
no,
fucking Christ.
They're just like, I told them like, yeah, you said it was supposed to be delivered on June 19th, and this was in like August, and they're like, yeah, that's gone. We don't even have a record of it anymore. We're just gonna give you the refund. Just take the refund. So
Wow,
I did not get around to organizing my models because I bought like $200 worth of IKEA shelves and then never got them. But in my phase,
next time.
Yeah, right. In my phase particular this week, well, today actually is my 2-year anniversary with my wife.
And why are you recording?
She's in bed. She goes to bed at 8 o'clock, regardless of every day, no matter when it is, and I
This
don't.
upsets me. This is upsetting me. Why are you here?
Because the day's over. So both the wife and I and to the people listening to the podcast, Alex's face is just wonderful.
Go on.
Anyways, so the wife and I both took the day off work, and since we have both been on a major D&D kick, as you may have heard through previous episodes, we decided to spend the whole day, and we just played D&D all day together, just the two of us. I have a lot of experience over her, and so I ended up controlling 4 PCs, and she was getting some practice being a dungeon master for her campaign that she runs for us. And so I bought a module for her to run me through, and she just got practice running encounters and reading module descriptions and things like that, and give her ideas on how to add more stuff to her campaign. And it was a lot of fun. We did that for basically the whole day. We took a short break to attempt to go vote, but decided not to wait in line for 2 hours. So we went home. We have early voting in Virginia, and we have many satellite polling stations, yet it's still about a 2 to 3 hour wait.
Well, then you wait, or you gonna absentee?
We're gonna try to find a better time than on our anniversary to spend 3 hours trying to vote. So we're gonna try to do Saturday or something.
If you don't vote, I have so many flight tickets for flight vouchers. I will fly to Virginia and fight you.
Oh, we are definitely voting, but we're probably going to do it this Saturday. They're open longer because they're only open from like 1 to 6 on weekdays, but they're open from 9 to 7 on weekends. So we're probably going to go super early on Saturday and try to get it instead of
right on. Kind of in an important spot for that. So
yeah, I know. I'm well aware. I will say that the fact that every day since we've opened early voting back in September 28th or something, basically it's had 2 to 3 hour lines to vote at every location everywhere.
Our listeners who are basement wargamer variety, just minutes before recording, I was bullying a few of them who I know are from Pennsylvania, and I think it was specifically Sean Feathers and Jared, who has recently shown up, presented in a Warhammer community article, right?
Oh, right. Jared with his nice bald head in the photo.
Yeah. So I bullied them both about voting. It turns out they had already voted, but that's fine.
Yeah.
So they let me tirade on to them, and then we're just like, yeah, no, we're
Which,
good.
like many of Alex's nagging, it's always fruitless.
It's not always fruitless. Oh no, it's just, it's good to have that reminder. An accountability platform is important.
Accountability platform. Yes.
So other than today's activities, so I received a book from my wife. So I am the cook in the house, and I recently opened my wife's eyes to the Martha Stewart Snoop Dogg relationship. She did not realize that there was a thing there, and she was like, she felt lied to her whole life, since this has been going on since 2008. And she did not realize that. So she ended up getting me Snoop Dogg's From Crook to Cook cookbook. And it is a great book. If I run upstairs, I can grab it and show you. And I got her the Color and Light book that you guys recommended, because she's the resident artist in our household. And so I feel that she will take good advantage of that. So that's what we got each other, and it was a lot of fun. But I actually, this week, I've been hobbying. I started building some Sisters of Battle. I finished building all of my Zephyrim and my Mortifers, and I have them primed and ready to start painting as Bloody Rose. So similar to Jeremy, I am also painting Order of the Bloody Rose. And I'm probably going to be stripping my Metal Sisters and repainting them now that contrast paints are a thing. Although I don't know how well contrast paints will work on pewter. I'm intrigued to see how that happens. So yeah, that has been my phase this week.
Oh my god, I just saw the logo or the cover of this book.
It's great.
That's pretty tight.
There's
got like Snoop Dogg in a tank, and he's just got like, what is this? It's like a bowl of pasta.
They're in the beginning. You know how like they tell you like, oh, what you should have in your pantry. His is like Pop-Tarts, Kraft mac and cheese, like all this stuff that you would have if you were poor, and it's like him like looking like in a tank, just like basically shirtless, just like, yeah, this is my pantry. It's like the best picture ever.
Sure, they got some bomb recipes on there for sure.
Oh no, actually they have some bomb ass recipes that use like low cost
Good.
cooking. It's like it's actually a really cool book. I'm really excited to
Hell
use
yeah.
it.
Fuck that. Fuck
Biscuits
yeah.
and gravy and yeah, so like a lot of fun stuff. So I'm excited.
By the way, I'm going to preface everything too here for both our listeners and our hosts. If by some chance you end up hearing crazy noises, one thing I forgot to mention is we are recording on Tuesday the 20th. Don't always give the date, but it's always kind of alluded to here in this show that we record a little earlier in the week. There is a Dodgers game going on right now, and I am by proxy a Dodgers fan now, and my entire family has, and yeah, they are doing crazy good right now. That's like 8-1. So I'm getting like text messages, but I've also heard on my end some yelling and screaming from my beautiful fiance, and there might be more. So if there's a sudden interruption, that just means that the Dodgers are continuing to kill it and that it's already dead and that it just needs to stop. But we'll see. We'll find out. That being said, yeah, I'm glad that you were able to. Okay, first and foremost, happy birthday, or happy happy birthday, happy anniversary, Garrett.
Thank you.
So your anniversary would have been possibly a few days after mine if I had gotten married on the 17th, like the plan was. COVID
Strikes again.
strikes again. But,
Actually,
we're not
because of COVID, I have dreamed for many years. I come from a family of divorce, and so holidays have always been a disaster for me since I went to college, and like since I started dating my wife and then married to her, it's always been like, how are holidays going to be handled this year? And I've always just wanted to be like, fuck family. I just want to be home for Thanksgiving, home for Christmas, just the two of us, maybe a couple of friends. That's it. That's all I've ever wanted my whole life. And this year, I get that. Because of COVID, I can't go anywhere for Thanksgiving. I can't go anywhere for Christmas.
Miracle.
I know. I was like, she's like, my wife is like, guess what, Garrett? You get to stay home with just me for Thanksgiving and Christmas. No family. And I'm like,
no Friendsgiving?
I mean, this year we can't.
Yeah. Unless you like fully know and trust. Yeah.
Yeah. The annoying thing is that now after this year, I will never have this again. We will never be allowed to have a just us Thanksgiving ever again because COVID killed that dream for us. We get it once because of COVID, and then family will take over my life forever.
Enjoy it while you can.
Yeah.
You're just gonna have to cash it in once one time. Just be like, you know what? I get one more.
Yeah, right. That's the hope. One more before I die.
Ask for that for your birthday next time, apparently.
My birthday is 2 days before July 4th. So like my birthday has always been like, oh, but July 4th celebration. So family has to be like, I guess I'm just going to celebrate my birthday at a family gathering because that's just what you do now.
Well, this is going to be a little blessing in disguise for you for sure. And I actually got to say, I don't think we've ever wrapped up an in-your phase this quickly. And I think it's because John's not here.
What is different? What is not like? What is unlike the others?
Yeah. Not. We love John. We hope that he is doing great today. But there's just
was it 25% shorter? Because if so, that's fair.
This is like 50% shorter than last time.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's probably
No. I'm actually looking at the clock right now. And I'm like, holy shit! We actually we spend that long on the starting segment. B, that's a significant portion cut out. So that's a one for the books, people. You can see.
Sorry, kids. No story time tonight.
No story time tonight, everyone. But we do have more things that we do want to talk about. And of course, it is those big, lumbering, kind of expensive on front end value Battletome for destruction. And it is, of course, the Gargants. So big boys, thick boys, they are out to play officially. They came out just this past weekend, and overall, they're lukewarm. They're not even lukewarm. You could say that they're a bit of a cold fish. There are some varying opinions you're going to hear tonight, and some of them are going to be more positive than others. Obviously, if you want to start this army, do know that it's going to be a labor of love, and it's more bragging rights of being like, hey, I didn't spend three years to build this army. I spent a fuck ton of money up front instead. And so more power to you, but there's something to be said about these type of armies. Games Workshop put them in a weird, funky position. They're like knights in a lot of different ways for 40k, but in a lot of different ways, they're actually a lot worse than 40k knights, which I'm actually shocked by, especially with some of those changes to 9th edition 40k. That being said, we're going to be going through a lot of, primarily what we like and what we think could be viable, possibly, with the Gargant's Codex, or the Sons of Behemat Codex that we've talked about and has been largely sought for several months. Looking at the start here, you guys, of course, with the Mega Gargants, there is the idea of the fact that you can have one as a mercenary in your army. It's a rule that allows you, as an allegiance ability, or in the Mega Gargant mercenaries, has an entire specific rule saying that you can hire one for your army. So this goes against, say, the 2019 General Handbook's mercenary rules. This just is something that's unique for this. To me, it seems like it is fully matched play because it's not like those. It's kind of like Go Trek. It's something that's very unique as a part of something that's written for this army or for these models. But you can include a Mega Gargant mercenary, and it replaces, and they get the mercenary keyword. You're allowed to, they can't be your army's general, and they can't obviously benefit from allegiance abilities. You can include one in your army. They only have a special rule of disruptive presence. They have one that gets added. And if your army includes any mercenary units at the start of your hero phase, you receive, on your first battle round, just like that 2019 General's Handbook, you don't get your first command point. And so there's something to be said about that, since it's kind of like an inbuilt version of something that was in a General's Handbook. I think that that's really interesting. But looking at the allegiance abilities, Jeremy, what were some of your thoughts on the initial parts of the battle traits, their allegiance abilities?
So I do appreciate you open the caveat with, this is labor of love. So I'm gonna keep a positive attitude, because we're not gonna talk about this book for a competitive reason, but we are gonna talk about. I'm gonna talk about what's cool in that. They've made the allegiance abilities really adhere to the kind of like overall creative and fun elements of the army, right? It's the idea that they already threw a joke right at the gate, because the rule is called might is righty, or mightier is rightier, which is basically a joke on the ogre Maw tribes rule, which is might is right. And so, which is literally the same rule, except for the Gargant version is bigger in terms of model count, because it's basically these models count as X models for the purposes of objective scoring. And then for the ogre book, it was like 2 models. And then for this book, it's 10 models for a Man Crusher, and then like 30 for the Mega Gargant. So it's cool. They already threw a joke in there. They're like, aha, mightier is rightier. So continuing that kind of like entire, like, I guess, narrative or like perspective is the entire way the rest of the allegiance reads, right? I will say though, to piggyback the mercenary statement for before, that rule does not get transferred over to mercenaries, which means a single Gargant as a mercenary is a single model. So just keeping that, like, and for people who might get excited about the fact that, like, I want to take a Mega Gargant and it counts as 30 models, it doesn't. It counts as 1 in a non Mega Gargant Sons of Behemat army.
Yep.
But the other rules are important. That's important in the book, for me at least, was because I think it's both a cool thing and a bad thing at the same time. Was the way tribes are decided, which is basically if you
Wait, real quick, hate to interject. You already mentioned mightier is rightier, but how many? You said that there's an arbitrary number that the models count as. Well, what is that arbitrary number?
I already said it. It was 10 for Man Crushers and 30 for Mega Gargants.
20 from
Yes.
Mega Gargants.
No, it's 30.
It's 20.
Is it 20? I thought it was 30.
It's
20
30
models.
in one. It's 30 in one of the factions.
Oh,
When
got it.
determining the control of an objective, each friendly Man Crusher Gargant model counts as 10 models instead of 1, and each friendly Mega Gargant counts as 20 models instead of 1.
Instead of 1. That's right.
So
Taker
three-
tribes makes it 15 and
That's
30.
right. That's why 15 and 30.
Yes. So Man Crusher, each model counts as scoring as 10 models.
Yep.
But yeah, continue with these Lords and Master rule.
Yeah, so that's what it's called. And that's basically that your sub-allegiance for your major legion of Sons of Behemat is decided by which Mega Garden you made as a general, which is cool, but also really restrictive. Because, and I don't know if they did that for balancing purposes, so that way they can balance all the artifacts and traits on like a specific model. But it just felt like, hey, like it'd be cool if you could just, still play Kraken Eater, but not have, or sorry, the Taker's Tribe, but not have a Kraken Eater as a general. Or because they went as well, then they also go like a little bit more restrictive too. Like you can only give artifacts and to like the specific Mega Gargant that's of that allegiance, right? Yeah, they did, which is really like kind of like why make it that restrictive? Because people want to bring like one of each Mega Gargant because you can really easily in this game. Like you're kind of stuck to only making one of them get all the love in terms of a trait and artifact, and that's it. Not that it's pretty hard to get a second artifact in that book. Only one tribe gets to do that, but it is kind of unfortunate that like that's not even an option. But that's the overall battle traits I think are interesting. But talking too much about the sub allegiance, Garrett, why don't you explain the last one for us, because one shouldn't chuck those in a glass house.
The chuck and rocks. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it's hard for me to get excited about this rule because it's not exciting. But I guess from a thematic standpoint, it's cool that. So one of the interesting things about this book, I guess, again, trying not to gripe, but it seems like a lot of the benefits of the allegiance traits actually benefit the Man Crusher Gargants and not the big Gargants themselves. So you actually don't get a lot of bonuses from the allegiance for taking the big guys. And to Jeremy's point, the bonuses you do get are tied to your tribes. So the tribe says, like, if you want to be the Kraken Eaters, you take the Kraken Eater and you get only bonuses to Kraken Eater. But that means Kraken Eaters are great. And same thing with War Stompers versus Gatebreakers. But so the last rule is Chuck Rocks, which is, as an allegiance, if you're playing the Sons of Behemat, all of your Man Crusher Gargants get a you can, in your shooting phase, you can pick one Man Crusher Gargant unit, and all of them within 18 inches of your general, and they get to each model gets to chuck D3 rocks at people. That is a 4-up, 3-up random on D3 damage. So you just, I mean, classic fantasy trope is like in D&D, giants get to throw random rocks. They get do it in Lord of the Rings. You have giants used as artillery pieces. Like giants throw rocks, and so they added that rule where it's like we get giants, we just pick up rocks and throw them at people. And so thematically, it's pretty fun. Unfortunately, from a competitive standpoint, it's very lackluster.
Yeah.
I mean, it gives a shooting attack where there would normally not be one. So I can see the utility, but...
Well, also the funny thing is that Man Crusher Gargants get run in charge, so you're never shooting with them anyways because you're just running with them. But...
well, does it say that it's a shooting attack? Well,
it is a shooting attack.
It's a shooting attack.
It's a shooting attack. They gain a missile weapon profile.
And at most, it's going to be like a max unit of 3 Man Crushers. So you were getting only 3d3 shots, hitting on 4s, winning on 3s. It's something, but it's also it's nothing to write home about in terms of like, oh, is that good? No, it's like below mediocre.
To talk about positive things on the book, though, one of the things that I really liked, unfortunately, again, they only gave it to Man Crushers and is only in the Stomper tribes. Is I love that Man Crusher Gargants get bonus damage when attacking large units, because one of the big criticisms that people early on had for the book, or before they saw the book, was with the models, is that it's like, well, how are you going to deal with like swarms? Like you can't make these guys so they do unbelievable amounts of damage. They can kill a 40-man unit, because then if you go attack like a Maw Crusher or Archeon, well, they'll just murder him because they can just do 40 wounds. Because in Age of Sigmar, there's no toughness value. So if you can do damage, you can do damage. But so I love that they added this rule. I think it's super thematic, super cool, where it's like if they're attacking a big unit, they add damage to all of their weapon profiles. And that to me is a really elegant solution to this problem where it's like, oh, you're attacking a 20-man blob. You add +2 to all of your damage profiles. And now all of your attacks are just like sweeping through and murdering lots of guys all at once. And I just thought that was really cool. I think that's a really elegant solution to a problem that this book could have been presented with. And I thought it's also super thematic. And that's probably my favorite rule of the whole book, honestly, is
what's the name of that rule again?
It's on the Stomper tribe. It's called Getting Stuck In. Yeah.
Well, that reminds me. Yeah, let's talk about those tribes. You know, starting with that Stomper tribe, that is super, super good. You know, the general from that one in terms of a Mega Gargant has to be the War Stomper. Oddly, you know, the Kraken Eater one, they have the Taker tribe. The Gatekeeper one has the Breaker tribe. You're starting to see a consistent theme here, aren't you guys? Looking at their other abilities here, if you have a Stomper tribe, your general must have the following command ability, and it essentially is units within 18 inches. When they try to run, they count as being 6 inches. So pretty consistent. They have another command ability that's units within 18 inches can do the Chuck Rock attacks instead of just only one other unit, one unit itself. Then they have another one that's essentially you can reroll charge rolls within 18 inches of the general. So pretty consistent in terms of buffs that are within 18 inches, things that let you do multiple things, multiple reroll charges, or maybe a second throw rock. I don't really like, they can't all really be all that great, but they're all very generic. I mean, the stop mucking and hit them all is the same thing, but it's within 18 inches of your general, and it's reroll ones to hit. And these are just a lot of command abilities, and I feel like that doesn't really make a lot of sense. It's having like 5 command abilities as your main kind of battle trait, you know?
Well, what it actually looks like it does is they take all of the generic command abilities, reroll ones to hit, reroll ones to save, auto round 6, reroll charges, and instead of you targeting one unit, it targets
It's a
all
bubble
units
within.
18. Yeah, that's what they did is they just took all of the generic command traits and they made them a bubble everybody within instead of pick one unit. And so they made
the
it
helpful one too is that last one. Where do you think you're going? Which is the ignore battle shock wholly within 18.
I want to point out it's not every unit. It's just man crushers.
Yeah, it's just man crushers.
It's all buffing man crushers like we had talked about earlier.
Yeah.
My apologies. Yeah, I did mean.
So this tribe is definitely about taking one big guy and then it's just a crap ton of man crushers.
Which arguably is probably going to be the most competitive build that you're going to see in this army. Maybe 1 or 2 Mega Gargants, probably 1, and then a bunch of man crushers.
Yeah.
I mean, having, and actually something I misspoke, all of these command abilities, they don't say wholly within, they are within.
Yep.
That's another big one. So
that's kind of necessary because these guys have such huge footprints that you're never gonna, like, if they were wholly within 18, you'd be like, I'm in the middle of the board.
Yeah, I mean, that reminds me too, you know, going to the next one here. How do you guys feel about the Taker tribe? You know, that one actually has the smallest battle trait of them. Rather than a page, it's like a portion. You know, I'm seeing right now, get rid of them, which is when you determine control of an objective, you count as 15 models instead of 10 for Man Crusher Gargant. And then for the big boy, you count as 30 instead of 20 models for any sort of Mega Gargant, which is pretty fucking helpful, just like Jeremy had mentioned. So instead of having all those extra command abilities, they just have that, and they just have one other thing, which is a command ability. And each time a model with, or no, not a command ability, but just another inbuilt trait, each time an enemy model with an artifact of power is slain, you can roll on the triumph table. So like once or twice a game, if you do successfully kill a hero, you get to roll on the triumph table. So that could be kind of fun, but I don't know.
Okay. Like, so one of the reasons why the Taker tribe is such a short like trait bubble is because unlike the other tribes, it gets 6 artifacts. All the other tribes only gets 3 artifact choices.
Because they're taking shit.
That's right. They're piratey.
It's a very thematic army.
And they're the only one that can take 2 relics because they have a command trait that allows them to take 2 relics, and you can take both those relics on the same Gargant. So you could have a Gargant, which is one of the first, I think, model in the game that has 2 artifacts of power.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, that's, you're gonna see them being played because I you know, outside of the stoppers, because the Kraken Eaters are the ones that kick objectives.
Yes, they play soccer.
So they, you know, the fact that they increase model count plus the kicking objectives, you might see a little bit more of those. And the fact that they can have 2 relics, maybe they'll have, you know, they'll take 2 Kraken Eaters and have 2 relics, and still have enough for like 6 Man Crushers, if I remember correctly, if you take 2 of those. So I don't know, it's such a finesse like army, that one, versus War Stompers, which is very easy, which is just get stuck in, right? As the rule says. This one just feels more like you're trying to play the objective game of an army that has very limited model count, but that count for a lot on an objective.
Yeah, like 3 Man Crushers is 45 models. There's not a 45 model unit in the game. Oh no, 60 Grots. 60 Grots could beat you.
Yeah, or Storm Vermins or Clan Rats, or the question, you know, one of the argument we actually were having online recently, it's not really about the Man Crushers, but it's about the base size of the Mega Gargants. They're on 80 millimeters for some reason. They're these giant monsters, right, on the base size of a Keeper of Secret.
Yeah, I was shocked.
I was shocked.
I thought they were going to be on bigger bases, on Archeon-sized bases.
And I think it comes down to they wanted people to still be able to hold an objective from a Mega Gargant, because if any bigger, if the base was any bigger, like let's say 100 millimeter on top of a let's say 3-inch objectives, well, you can't get on it. And if it's I believe it's like blocks it out, or if it's on even on a 6-inch objective, it'd be harder to get that many models around. So I think there was thought behind the base size, but it just looks a little ridiculous. That's such a giant model on an 80 mil base.
I mean, it also makes it easier to maneuver with the smaller base.
It also makes it easier to transport slightly.
Like, just moving or between terrain pieces, you don't have to worry so much about going up and over and stuff like that.
Well, they have Longshank. They don't care about terrain features.
True.
And well, they do care, but it has to be a very tall one for them to care.
So we're talking about some of these generic rules for our listeners here. If you haven't seen the War Scrolls, it's going to make things a lot easier when we start talking about individual Mega Gargants. They all have Longshank, which is if you move, when you move the model, it can ignore models when moving with a wounds characteristic of 10 or less and terrain features that are less than 4 inches tall. It just moves as though it is perfectly fine in open ground, as long as it stays still within outside of 3 inches of enemy models by the end of its move. They have Sons of Behemat rule. Every single Mega Gargant has this. Instant kill weapons, Hand of Dust, Archeon's Sword of Heroes, etc., or Kingslayer. They all do D6 mortal wounds rather than auto kill. And then when they all die, they all have Terror. So you subtract 1 from your bravery within 3 inches with any units with that ability. And yeah, they also have Timber. So when they die, all enemy units within 5 inches of the model, and each unit when the model is a slave, before removing the model from the battlefield, players roll off. The winner picks a point in the battlefield within 5 inches of that model, and all units within 3 inches of that point suffer D3 mortal wounds. Mega Gargants, and then the Mega Gargant is then removed from play. So they all have that. So just big preface.
They also have the charge mechanic thing.
The charge mechanic thing.
They do more on the charge on a 2-up, and if it's a monster, it's D3 mortal wounds. If it's a non-monster target, it's D6 mortal wounds. So they all have crushing charge too.
But stuff into the net, yeah.
That's only for the Kraken Eater. They all have some kind of mortal wound slay models mechanic. The War Stomper throws a model. The Kraken Eater stacks them in his net. And actually, I forgot what the Mega Gargant one is. I think he just destroys terrain. I don't think he gets one of those.
No, I think he destroys terrain.
Yeah, he just destroys.
That reminds us with the Breaker tribe, the one with the flail. By the way, I really enjoy in the Battletome. They have been doing things lately with Battletomes where they make little jokes inside. I always think back at my Ossiarch Bone Reaper one at the Stalic Lord painting armor. There's a little subsection where it says like, like first you apply silver, then you add nihilic oxide while the nihilic oxide is drying. Like talk about or consider like contemplate how you're going to conquer the living. And then like there's things like that in more recent books as well. In this one, with the Maneater, there's like a corpse that's like hanging off of him, and it has some description of like while painting this corpse, consider the fact that you're painting a dead body on a model. Like just think about the fact that you're like painting this rotten corpse on a model. Like they try to break the fourth wall in a way with their hobby thing. Sometimes they're hits, sometimes they're misses, but I find that enjoyable. That being said, in with the Breaker tribe, the Breaker Mega Gargant, he's got like a flail that's basically a big column, and he can smash pieces of terrain with it, which is going to be fun to completely invalidate your opponent's, Loon Shrine or Realm Shaper engine or something like that. It'd be fucking hilarious. However, in the hobby section of this book, they recommend that you replace, or you could possibly replace that column with a cow. So you're just like hitting people with a cow. I think that's pretty cool. But with the Breaker tribe, they add 1 to the damage inflicted for each successful attack from a Man Crusher unit if they target a unit that is wholly a part of a garrison or wholly a part of a terrain, or wholly within a terrain feature. So add 1 damage if you're within a garrison or the opponent's within a garrison or wholly within terrain. In addition, until the end of the combat phase, you can pick 1 terrain feature within 3 inches of a Man Crusher Gargant and roll a dice, and add the number of models to the unit to the roll. On a 7-up, that terrain feature is reduced to rubble, and all scenery rules for that are replaced with deadly scenery, and its rules are changed to rubble. That's pretty fucking cool, I think. Especially if you go your opponent with like arcane or mystical terrain or something like that. You go, nope, fuck that. You don't get shit. Especially if it's like it's on a 7-up. If it's a unit of 5
think
models.
you can destroy faction terrain with that too.
You absolutely can.
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's
Turn it to rubble.
terrain, and it's at the end of the combat phase. You have to.
I wonder what happens if you destroy a garrison.
Well, they don't. Okay, so this isn't 7th edition 40k Space Marine Chaos Space Marine rules. We're not like moving terrain